Rika. Welcome back. We're at episode 34 of the hCG Diet Interviews with Everyday People. I've got Donna with me today. She's actually a practicing nutritionist way over in Australia. And we're going to talk with her about her hCG journey, but also a little bit about her background as a nutritionist, what led her to be interested in health. Because I think we all get interested in our own healthy lifestyle for various reasons, and it's kind of neat hearing how people are led to that. So welcome. Thanks for being with me, Donna.
Thank you, Rachel. It's so lovely to finally talk to you and meet you.
I know.
I've been listening to your podcast for many years now. I think I've listened to them all once or twice, so lovely to chat with you today.
Yeah, well, it was probably quite an earful. Well, tell me a little bit about your background. What led you to being interested in nutrition?
I guess it's twofold, really. I have never been grossly obese or overweight. I would say I've been overweight in my late teens and 20s. So I've always been, interested in exercise and dieting to maintain that. But second to that, my father developed celiac disease when I was about young, probably about 10 or 13, maybe, just say, when in my early teens. And back then in the 80s, there really wasn't much known about celiac disease, and so his disease was poorly managed. At the age of 49, so 19 years after he was diagnosed, he developed intestinal lymphoma, which is basically a risk factor for people with celiac disease, whereby their villi on their intestines become so damaged that they actually become malignant. And anyway, so he developed that, and he died within 6 months. So at 26, I went through that, and I was working in advertising at the time. And I thought, I really felt like the doctors let him down. I really felt that there was something more that could have been done. And I'd already had an interest in health because of my weight loss, or my weight journey, I guess. And so I did a 1-year course. My husband actually bought me one. He wasn't my husband then, he was my boyfriend, but he bought me a 1-year course in nutrition, and I loved it. And so I started studying part-time for an advanced diploma in nutritional medicine and working in advertising. And so I studied part-time. It took me about 6 years to complete. And then I got married and had babies. And so I didn't really start practicing until probably 6 years ago, because I had 3 children within 4.5 years. So it was really busy. But now I've been practicing, not full-time, but a couple of days a week since my youngest has been 3. So for the last sort of 4 years, which has been good. But basically, that's where my interest in health came from, my own sort of weight loss journey, and also my father's celiac disease. So...
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I appreciate hearing that. I'm curious, so back then, with your father, his diagnosis, so did he know not to eat gluten back then?
He did, but I think back then there wasn't as much gluten-free foods around, and so, for example, he would get Asian food thinking he could eat the rice, not knowing that the sauces were full of gluten. So there wasn't that sort of delving down deep into the different foods and how much foods actually contain gluten, which we all know about now. And there's, you've got whole rows of supermarket with gluten-free foods, and everyone seems to be gluten-free with the whole paleo movement and what have you. So it's just a lot more people know more about it now. Back then it was very misdiagnosed. And the other thing is he actually came out with a skin disorder, which a lot of celiacs get first. And so he was treated by a dermatologist for that. So he was treated for the skin disorder, not knowing that he had celiac disease, and then that was diagnosed about 5 years later.
Wow.
So it was a long time that it was undiagnosed and then poorly managed by him and by his doctors. And so it was just unfortunate. Yeah. And I guess some part of me thinks, God, if only he was alive now, God, but, that's what happened, and it's put me on my journey, and I love helping people with their health. I love helping people anyway. That's just in me. That's what I like to do, is helping others. But to be able to help people with their health, and specifically weight loss, and specifically women with weight loss, is wonderful, which is why I love the hCG diet, because it really does give people who have tried everything, particularly those with, say, thyroid issues or polycystic ovaries, or women that really, really struggle to lose weight. Give them it does give them some results. It
Yeah,
really does.
something that
So,
actually will work and do. Yeah,
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 that's what I love, is to give people results. And having said that, it's a really strict diet, so
yep.
compliance isn't always good. But for those that do comply, they really do get the results. So
That's great. So share with me now just your basic stats on you, your age, height, all of that, and then we'll have a point of reference for what happened
okay.
with you.
I am 43 and a half. I am 154.5 centimeters, which is 5'1", nearly 5'1" inches, and I'm 121 pounds at the moment, so that's 55 kilos. I like to sit around 52 kilos, which is, I don't know, 116 pounds maybe. So I've got, I don't know how many it is in pounds, but let me just check. I've got my little thing here. So 50. So I like to be around 114 pounds. So I'm about 7 pounds short of that at the moment. But we've just come out of summer and Christmas and New Year here in Australia. So it's been the holidays. So it's pretty difficult.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So I was telling you I was going to start around myself over the March, April, but I just don't know. I don't know if I've got it in me, because my last round was 64 days, and that was just before in spring of last year. So I'll just see. I'll see what I'm going to do. But I like to do it as a detox once a year, the hCG protocol, just a 3-week one, just to clean things out. Yeah, but that's what I'm at the moment.
Yeah, I think
I'm
it's interesting.
around 20% body fat at the moment at 121 pounds.
Thanks
Yeah.
for sharing that. And Donna's results with her body fat percent is based on DEXA scan. So that's basically
Yeah.
the most accurate way to have your body fat tested.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
actually look, just for everyone else watching or listening, you can look on Google and look up DEXA. DEXA scan with Google and your location, and there's a lot of different places where you can get that done. What's neat about it is that it actually will show you a scan of your body and show how much, not only fat but muscle as well, how much is on every single part of your body, which is really neat. Like how much is on your right leg and your left leg, and it's really neat to see that. And she did this on her second round. She did some DEXA scan comparison. So the reason I just want to mention, I don't know how you feel about this, Donna, but for me, having my body fat, like knowing what it is, has been very helpful for me in being happy and content with my body and knowing where I'm at. Because there's
Yeah.
times where, like, for instance, I'm in my mid 30s and I do pretty heavy weight training, and so my body weight is actually kind of high for a person of my height, actually. But because I've had that body fat testing done, I know that I have a low body fat percent, like around 17, 18%, which is considered an athlete, So
Exactly. Yeah,
yeah, and I'm a
absolutely.
small size as well, but so that helps me to feel confident and content with that weight on the scale because I know what it's made up of. How
Yeah,
does it make you feel knowing your body fat?
absolutely. I mean, and that sort of prompted me, because I have put on 3 kilos, but I weight train 5 days a week as well. And I do heavy weights as well. So I'm just wondering, not that I'm going to put on 3 kilos of muscle, because that's really hard to do, but I mean, there is a good chance that 1.5 kilos of that, or half of that, how many pounds is it?
Yeah.
It says 3.5 pounds could be some muscle, and 3.5 pounds could be just extra fat coming off the summer season. So yes, no, look, it is a good thing for me. I mean, and what prompted me to do it was actually you and one of your podcasts from a while ago, because you do get caught up in the scale, and I've actually backed down from the scale recently, and telling a lot of my clients to back down from the scale and use measurements, because it can become a little bit of a brain drain, I think, for some women.
Yeah.
And I included, most women, I think, have a lot of issues around food, and I do as well. And I think that just plays on those issues. So for me, DEX is fantastic And you can see where the fat is. I've got fat around my thighs, but yes, I'm female, and that's where I'm supposed to have a bit of fat. So it's, the fat around my tummy that I don't want, that I want to lose, and the fat under my arms and things, around your triceps that you want to get rid of. But if you've got fat around your thighs, some women, you will have that. You're never going to get rid of all of that.
Yep.
So yes, it is good in that it does give you some peace of mind, absolutely, because the scales, don't listen to the scales. I think, yeah, measurements are definitely, well, that's what I'm doing now anyway.
It just doesn't tell you the whole story, so it can be misleading,
No,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, tell me a little bit now about the actual rounds of hCG that you've done and what your results were.
Yeah. Okay, so the first time I ever did hCG was in 2013. And when I found out about it, I ordered the drops straight away. So in Australia, we can only have hCG homeopathically that you can buy online or through through an online business. You can get hCG injections from a doctor, but that's usually prescribed either for fertility treatment or for very obese people. So obviously I wasn't going to get that, so I went with the drops, and I've done 2 or 3 rounds with the drops, and I've done 1 round with injections. I lost the same on both rounds, I have to say. I lost the same amount of weight. I've never gone past 51.7 kilos or 52 kilos, 114 pounds. I've always seemed to get down to that point, and then my body just says, sorry, that's it. It just won't lose anymore. And by that point, I'm feeling like I need to come off the round. Yeah, but look, the first time, I just found it so easy. I just found the whole thing so easy. Phase 2 is really, really simple. I keep things simple with the food. I try to mix it up a bit. And each time I lost 7 kilos. So what's 7 kilos in pounds? Like 15 pounds? I don't know.
I think like maybe 18?
7 kilos is 15 pounds.
Okay, so 15 pounds.
Yeah.
Cool. And that was in how long? How long of a time were you?
Only 3-week rounds. So the last round I did with injections, I did 64 days, but the rounds before that with the homeopathic drops were 24 days. So I usually loaded for 2 days. With my last round, I had to load for 4 days because I just didn't put on the weight. And so I did a 4-day load, which was just foul, absolutely foul. I mean, yeah. I just did not enjoy that at all. But I just wasn't putting on enough weight, and I was worried that the hCG wouldn't work if I hadn't just put on enough pounds. Kilos. So I tried to put on 3 to 5 pounds in that loading phase. Okay. And yeah, but each time I seem to lose the same amount of weight. What I will say though is I believe that the lean body mass was more preserved with injections as opposed to homeopathic drops. I do think that you lose a lot of muscle, or more so, with the drops than you do with the injections. But again, that's just my experience.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's kind of sometimes my suspicion. I never, because people do ask me about this a lot, homeopathic versus injections, just because homeopathic tends to be so much cheaper, it's easier to come by. And I never like to be like, no, definitely don't use it, it doesn't work, because I don't know that for sure.
No, it does. It does. Absolutely.
It's just like you said, it's just that concern where the hormone is a real hormone, and it's powerful.
It's not a real hormone. But the other thing is I didn't exercise with the homeopathic drops, and I weight trained during my last round with injections.
Interesting.
Not as intensely and not for as long, and certainly not the frequency, but I exercised during my last round, which is something I've never done before. So maybe that has something to do with it.
Yeah, you never know. Also curious, did you notice any difference in your hunger level when you did homeopathic versus injections, or was it about the same?
It was pretty much the same. Yeah, it was pretty much the same. I have to say that with the homeopathic drops, it took longer to get into my system. So for the first 3 or 5 days, I was disgraceful. I was crabby, I was snappy,
Yeah.
I was hungry. And because I'm one of these all or nothings, if I follow rules, that's it. I stick to the rules. I have never cheated on a round ever. And I can put my hand on my heart and say that because you've got to give this, well, particularly this protocol, the respect it deserves. And so I've never cheated. So that first few days on homeopathic drops, I find a lot more difficult than injecting. I seem to have no hunger issues straight away with the injections. But having said that, I also loaded for 4 days with the injections.
I was just going to ask you that. I wonder if that could have something to do with it since you loaded.
Yeah, I made sure I put on 3 to 5 pounds. I think I put on around 4 pounds.
Yeah.
Loading.
Interesting.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, so it could have something. I haven't had, the same round. I guess nobody really does.
You can't. I know that's what I tell people. There's no way, even with your own self or other people, there's no way to compare exactly because you're just even your own hormone state's different every time you do the protocol. So it's.
But I would say when I started the hCG, I was up around 62 kilos, which is 136 pounds, which is really heavy for me at 5'1".
Yeah.
But I'd just come off of having my third child, and I hadn't really got all the weight off. And so I've gone from 136 pounds down to 114 pounds my last round. That's using hCG over the last 2 years, sorry. So and now my weight's sitting at 121 pounds.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm curious. So at the start of your last round with your injections, you said you gained. I was just curious how long it took you to lose your loading weight, like how much you lost the first couple days.
I always lose it within the first 4 days. So literally the first day, half of it came off, and 2 days after, the rest of it came off.
Cool. That's nice.
Yeah. So within 3 to 4 days.
Cool. That's good.
Yeah.
Let me see where I'm at. How about, I don't know how your clothing sizes work where you are.
Okay. I'm a size 8 to 10 here, which is, I think it's a 4 to 6 US.
Okay. And where were at your heaviest, what was your size?
I was a size 12 Australia. Let me just check. I'm just doing Google here.
Yeah.
Size 12 US. Let's just see. So, so American. Oh, it doesn't say. So,
but anyway, so your size change where you are was like 12 to 8?
12 to 14 in Australia, yeah. Which I think you guys are 4 sizes down from us. I'll see if I can get it while we're talking, but a size 12 to 14,
sure
I'm a
right.
size 8, 10.
Yeah, because if you're way around 115 to 120, you're definitely like a size 2 or 4 at your height, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah. Cool. That's neat.
Yeah, so, yeah, look, people look at me and go, you're tiny, but still, I'm a, quite a curvaceous figure type, so I have a small waist, but I've got boobs in the butt. So, yeah.
We all have the little places we pack it.
But I've always had a small waist. My weight has never been around my waist at all. I've always sort of put it on around my thighs and my butt and my legs and sort of the tops of my arms and my bust. But my waist has always been tiny, so which is nice.
That is good. They say that that's healthier actually. Like if you are overweight, because that's where the risk factor is, right? When the fat is in your abdomen.
Yeah, vascular risk factors increase considerably.
So that is why it's a good thing. And I think it also means that there can be more hormone like dysregulation when there's more fat around your.
Absolutely.
In fact, it's just kind of a side point, but I can tell whenever my cortisol levels are like getting out of whack because I will actually get a little thicker around my belly when I usually am not. And then that's like a signal to me like I need to make an adjustment or check my cortisol because it will, like it'll be fine and then all of a sudden it'll be like, whoa, where did this little pooch come from out of nowhere? And then once I work it out, it goes away, you know.
And what do you do for your adrenals? What do you do? How do you sort your cortisol out? Do you go on herbal supplements, or what do you do for that?
You know, what I love the idea of herbal supplements, but for me, I've ended up using physiological doses of actual cortisol because mine's low, and it's just so it works for sure. It's kind of an
You guys are
instantaneous.
so lucky. You get so much. Our FDA here is so tough. The TGA. You guys get to use so many more
Order
things than
whatever
we
I do.
do.
I actually bought like a 2-year supply overseas recently because it's getting harder actually to find it.
Yeah.
Although thankfully I recently found a naturopathic doctor in my area and I told him what I do. I was like,
Yeah.
I self-diagnose, I take this T3,
Yeah.
I take this cortisol. And you know what? I didn't even actually ask him to prescribe it to me. I was just sharing that this is what I do and that I feel a lot better with it. And he prescribed it to me. So
Yeah.
I was thankful for that. But
Well, I can get my hands on a lot of stuff too, but yeah, I mean, I'm the queen of self diagnosis as well, but I'm more now. I just want to know exactly before I start treating. I guess I'm getting older too. I'm 44 soon, so I
yeah.
just think I'd rather just yeah,
Well, one of the ways I mean, I didn't just actually start taking cortisol. The way I found out was I did do a salivary cortisol test, where you take it four
yeah,
times in a day. So I did take that.
that's right.
And then
Yeah,
I went to you've probably read on there the stopthethyroidmadness.com website.
yeah, I have.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is what happened. I took the test, I looked at my results, and it said that it was kind of normal actually, like
Well,
on the low
you've
end of
got
normal.
Hashimoto's, so yours is going to be low anyway. Yeah.
Would you say?
Haven't you got? Have you got Hashimoto's? Yours is going to be quite low anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's been times when I felt fine, but yeah, I do have that. But so the interesting thing was my results showed that I was kind of on the lower end of normal, but supposedly normal. So I set the test aside for like 6 months to a year. And I was like, oh, I guess that's not my problem. And even though I was feeling totally horrible and had no stamina whatsoever. And then I happened on that website to read the story of a woman who shared her salivary cortisol tests and how when she started on a physiologic dose of cortisol, how much better she felt. And I compared our tests and we had the exact same level of cortisol. We had the exact pattern.
Wow.
And I thought, wait a minute, I pulled my test
Yeah.
back out. Like maybe it is low actually. And so that's after that, I worked my way up to about 15 milligrams of cortisol a day spread out. I felt so much better.
So much better.
And it's
Yeah.
probably been about a year and a half. I take about 15 to 20 milligrams a day. And I know it's not really like a cure, but for me, it's like to be functional is
Yeah.
really important. And it's not so much that it's impeding my adrenals. So
Yeah.
hopefully someday I could get off of it, but yeah.
No, well, that's working for you, so leave it. Yeah.
It's just being functional when you're not, like the comparison is
Absolutely. Well, you've got a child. I mean, I've got three children under 10, so 10, 8, and 5. And, it's pretty crazy when you're trying to work and do things and work on yourself as well and your fitness. So, yeah, no, you've got to do what you have to do to stay functioning.
so true. Well, let's see. You know what? Why don't you give us a little bit of info now about you mentioned doing the ketogenic diet before, and I was curious, tell me your
Yeah.
experience with that. What's your feedback?
Yeah, so after I came off just before I started the last round of hCG, because as a nutritionist, I'm always looking into and learning about new protocols, and the low carb, high fat one wasn't something I was really that excited about because I felt that women potentially, particularly women with thyroid issues, not that I have one, may not fare so well on a diet like that. But I thought I would give it a go for me. Coming off hCG, as I said, I can't keep doing rounds of hCG, and I find it really hard to maintain at that 114 pounds. My body seems to naturally go back up to 121 pounds, which it is now. And so I thought I'd give it a go. And I was really, really, really tired. I was sticking to an ultra low carb diet, so under 30 grams of carbohydrates a day. And then having a sort of like a refeed once a week where you would increase your carbohydrates just for an afternoon and an evening.
Gotcha.
So what I did find, what I loved about that diet was I had no cravings, I had no PMS, I wasn't necessarily losing body fat or weight, and I know from DEXAs that I hadn't, but I did gain a lot of muscle during that time. And I was weight training as well. So I put on like 2 kilos of muscle in 4 months or 3 months, so a lot. I didn't lose body fat, maybe 0.5%, but my energy levels are really low. So I sort of get up in the morning, I do some cardio, then I do weight training after I've taken the kids to school, then I work, and then, after school I'm dealing with kids' activities, and I don't really sit down again until 8:30 p.m. So I really need that energy, and I just wasn't getting the energy I needed. Plus the increase in fats in my body just didn't metabolize well. So I gave that diet about 6 months and decided in the end that it really wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And then I went and did another round of hCG, which was the last round I did.
Gotcha.
And coming off that, I've moved into more sort of macro, if it fits your macros, I guess, type lifestyle, where I've based my macros on my activity levels and needs, and I've sort of been working with that at the moment. So I'm definitely eating a lot more carbs, around 100 grams, which isn't much. It's still low carb for most people, I would say.
Yeah.
But I'm finding the lower fat, higher carb, higher protein a lot better for my body and my needs than the ultra low carb. I found that, yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I actually wanted to ask you a few more questions about that because I have been doing more research lately on ketogenic diets, and it seems like for some people,
Yeah. I
it
think for people
seems
that are
like
pre-diabetic, people with insulin sensitivity issues, diabetes, or pre-diabetic, definitely it's definitely a game changer for them. Yeah.
even maybe temporarily, huh?
Even temporarily, yeah. But I just found the higher fat, my body just didn't metabolize those fats well.
Did you
Yeah, and
feel like you had indigestion more, do you mean, like from the high fat or?
I was gaining weight. I was just gaining weight, and I think the sort of refeeds once a week were leading to a bit of binging, which I didn't like. So yeah, it was another reason I came off it.
That's really good feedback, and also the fact that you mentioned the low energy levels, and then just that increase in carbs. Basically, you tripled a little more than tripled your carbs, and that would make the difference.
Made a difference. And to my sleep, I mean, even on hCG, I tend to not sleep as much. And again, that's because it is ultra low carb. And with the ketogenic diet, I wasn't sleeping. I was getting up at 4 or 5 in the morning. So it's just a really long day for me when I don't go to bed till at least 9 or 9:30 at night. And it was just a long day. So I think that lack of sleep coupled with the low energy and me not metabolizing the fats that well for energy just made it not right for me.
Yeah.
But I think it does work very well in those that do have specific insulin conditions, and maybe for polycystic ovaries as well. Yeah, diabetes, pre-diabetic, I think it would definitely be a wonderful diet for them.
Yeah, I know. I actually wonder as like a precursor when you are fairly overweight, as a precursor to hCG, doing something like that for a period of time, and then doing hCG, and then probably by the time you get, thinner, like you said, it doesn't seem like for me anyway. What I found is like with CrossFitting, it's what they call a glycogen dependent sport, which means you need carbs.
And you've got no glycogen stores all week until you do that refeed, really, with an ultra low, well, with the diet I was following. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just found that it just doesn't work, yeah, I need some
There's so many box jumps you can do with
yeah.
low.
Yeah, and feeling that horrible during a workout is just kind of like life not worth living. So, and actually I found that I was almost injuring myself more when I was trying to do super low carb and still CrossFit. It's like the cushion, the glycogen, I think it cushions your muscles probably. And I was almost injuring myself when I usually don't. So it was weird.
How low were you going with your carbs?
I don't remember because I literally only did it for about a week because I just totally, they call it bonking, right? I just totally bonked it workouts. But I mean, I was basically only having low carb vegetables and meat. It wasn't keto, it was just like low carb. But I was like, this feels horrible.
And it does. It really takes, you need to do about 10 days, I find. Well, actually, the first 4 days are really horrible. But day 5, a light switches on and you do change into a different fat burning energy burning process after that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't for me. Tried it, and I do offer my clients, certain clients, that diet, but yeah, it's not right for me.
The one thing I found fascinating behind the ketogenic diet specifically is a lot of the podcasts I'm listening to, they're reporting great brain clarity. And that's one thing I would love to have. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
you get that from fasting as well. I've recently come into intermittent fasting, and I do 1 day of fasting, and then the next day, my gosh, I can work solidly for 3 hours and be focused, which, is amazing, really amazing. So,
No, I agree with
yeah,
you. The days I fast are my most productive days. When I do
yeah,
that, I get so much more work done. I'm like, boy, I wish I could not eat every day, but that's not possible.
true,
So
true.
that's good. Okay, great. So let's see here where we're at. Now, you mentioned that your body tends to want to gain weight, and I wanted to talk about that briefly because that's something that a lot of women experience, whether they're overweight or not. There's a lot of women who manage to stay in a normal weight range, but it's a constant struggle. So tell us, like, I mean, for you, it was it because of just overeating, or is it just you were exercising and it just still tends to go up? What's your experience?
I'm still working on that one. I'm still working on that. I just don't know. My body just likes to be at 54, 55 kilos, 121, 118, 121 kilos. But I like the look of me at 114. I'm sorry, 120 pounds. I like the look of me at 114 pounds. But yeah, so I don't know. I think it's just where my body naturally wants to be, and I haven't sort of broken through that set point. Which is why I thought, shall I do another round? Do a round? But, I seem to get back down to that 114 pounds with a round, but I find it very hard to maintain.
Yeah.
And, and part of me trying new diets is a way of trying to find a new phase three, because I think phase three is really difficult. I think, there's no sugar, no starch, it's fine. I can do that for 21 days. But once I start to reintroduce and go back to what I think's my normal diet, the weight tends to come back on. So yeah, that's why I'm trying this different approaches to find my phase three, and then go into another round, and then go into another phase. My phase three, which is not necessarily sugars and starches, if that makes sense to
Right.
everybody. Yeah. So I haven't found what works for me, and I guess I become impatient. I've only really want to lose 3 kilos. So what's that? 3 kilos by 7 or 8 pounds, maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah. Which is not a lot. Would you bother doing a round of hCG for that? I don't know. Most people wouldn't, but I become impatient. So I think, right, okay, I'll do another round of hCG, and then. But yeah, I haven't done that again yet because I
It's
just
a
think it's a
hard
long round, and
choice.
it's just
I had
it is.
yeah, I had written a post about that on the blog. You've probably seen it about I think it's like how to lose 5 or 6 pounds without hCG. And that was where I
Mm,
talked about, yeah, my viewpoint where for me personally, it's like, yeah, 6 pounds and under, 6 to 7, I'd probably do on my own. If it was too much more than that, I probably would consider a short round. It's,
yeah.
just, yeah, it's so hard to say because it's so efficient in actual fat loss is the thing.
It is, and that's what it's about for me. It's about fat loss, which is another reason why I've given away the scales. And the other thing is that I love to train. I love to train and weight train 5 days a week. So when you're cutting back and you're in a calorie deficit, it's really hard to maintain that. So I'm sort of in this stuck between a rock and a hard place at the moment of,
Right.
accepting that weight, and which is probably why I should go and do another DEXA and just see where my body fat's at, because I might find that my body fat's maybe the same and I've got more muscle, I'm hoping.
Yeah,
Because yeah, my measurements are pretty similar.
really.
But yeah, yeah.
It
But
could be because I was surprised after my rounds, I had gained a good 7 pounds. Um, but when I went and had my hydros done, I think all but a half pound of it was muscle.
yeah,
It
right.
was, and I was thicker because I hadn't lost fat, and at that point I didn't have my fat low enough to be comfortable in my
Yeah,
body. But
yeah.
yeah, it was definitely
And 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 coming back to your other point, I haven't found that diet apart from HCG, which reduces my body fat really well. Um, I just haven't found it.
yeah.
So, which is why I'm now playing around with my macros and seeing whether, upping my carbs a little bit and lowering my fat and keeping my protein at a certain level might change things. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'll
but
be curious.
the HCG thing I've done.
Yeah, I'll be curious to hear if the intermittent fasting
Yes, yes, I've only just introduced that the last 3 weeks, but I have to say, um, I definitely noticed a drop in inches around my waist and my hips. Yeah,
Yeah, I
just
actually think it works pretty good, and it's a little bit more gradual, but what's nice about it is that you're not on a diet every day. You know what I mean? It's just kind of a once a week
yeah,
I do something a little harder than usual.
exactly. And look, my diet is impeccable anyway.
Yeah,
I'm really really clean. So there's not much. I don't have much wiggle room, to
yeah.
be
Not
honest,
much to
which is why
change.
I sort of rely on hCG, because you're then introducing a hormone to switch things up.
Right.
Yeah, maybe I need to eat more. I don't know. My trainer keeps telling me to eat more.
But it's funny, I actually did read on a fitness blog a woman who she kind of chronically underate and she worked out so hard. And she mentioned when she started eating more, she actually lost weight. It was weird. It was like,
I
it's
know
funny.
when you're 5'1", it's 1 or 2 kilos makes a difference. So I guess there's a little bit of hesitation about increasing my calories too much. So, but we're playing around with macros. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, well, that's the nice thing about fasting too, is if you do try an experiment that doesn't go right, like the fasting
Yeah,
can help correct it more quickly.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, how about you share a little bit now about like what was your life like on phase two when you're losing weight on hCG? Like how did you kind of live your life? What did you eat? What was your activities?
Yep. I'll talk specifically about my last round,
Sure.
which was on injections. Look, I am quite a methodical, routine-driven person, and so I had my set routines, and I would always have a sliced apple with stevia and cinnamon for breakfast while I was fixing the kids' breakfast, and then I would have my lunch, which was either fish or meat, and then my dinner would be whatever I didn't eat at lunch. So if I had fish for lunch, I'd have meat for dinner, and vice versa. Um, I did not socialise during my rounds, and I don't socialise in the evenings during my rounds because I find that really, really difficult, and I'd rather not be there than go there and feel deprived. I don't tend to go out a lot. My husband and I don't go out a lot. So when I do go out, I want to go out and have a good time, and I just can't do that on hCG. And by that, I mean I want to enjoy a couple of drinks, alcoholic drinks, and I can't do that. So I just don't go. That's me. Um, However, I do go to social family gatherings. I can quite easily abstain, but when I'm with my friends, I want to enjoy my friends, and that usually involves alcohol. So, yes, I do become a bit of a hermit. I don't necessarily tell people what I'm doing or whether I'm on or around. I'll just say I'm detoxing, and they get that, and they know me being a nutritionist that I'm always trying something new, so they just sort of accept it now.
That's
Um, but yeah, so I would have. I never had the grissini or the what else can
Melba.
you have on it? The Melba thing. No, I don't sort of eat gluten really. I don't abstain for it, but I don't really eat those sorts of foods that have gluten in it. So breads and cereals and what have you. Um, but I did have, 2 to 3 pieces of fruit depending on my hunger. Usually apples or um, apples really. Yeah, maybe a grapefruit, but not all the time. And then I would, stick with the meat and veg, and I'd weigh all my food and I'd track all my food in my fitness pal. So I never really went over 550 calories a day.
Okay.
And there would be my last round. There was 10 days where I just sat at that weight, and I just stalled for 10 days. And I was going to do an apple day, and I thought, oh no, I can't. But I just stuck it out, just kept on the protocol, and eventually it did shift.
Good for you.
Good for you. Yeah, but yeah. So my meals are really simple. I always start with a bed of lettuce, and then I'll add, or salad greens, and then 100 grams of whatever meat or fish, and then one vegetable. I didn't really mix vegetables, apart from the salad.
Yeah.
And I would either steam or saute in water and add Bragg's aminos is my best friend. I don't know if you have that over there, but Bragg's aminos, I think you do. Yeah, and some spices, and cinnamon is a really, really good friend of mine as well.
This is
Yeah,
gonna
so
sound
really,
crazy,
really,
but
pardon?
my final, this is gonna sound kind of crazy, but my last round with just speaking of cinnamon, I actually started putting cinnamon in my salad, and that probably sounds totally gross, but what, I
No,
would saute
not at all.
an onion, and I'm serious, like the kind of caramelized onion on my lettuce with some cinnamon. It was actually pretty good. I
Yeah,
get desperate on
yeah,
things
no,
too.
love it. But I never got hungry on the hCG, so it was never like I felt like I was missing out. I always kept myself busy, so before a round, I think about what projects I wanted to do, whether that be around the house or otherwise, and so I would always have that focus to take me, to keep me busy when you're not. But preparing food for my kids or baking and stuff, I still did all that. It didn't faze me because I didn't want it and I didn't crave it, and so
Good.
preparing food for other people was never an issue, or is never an issue during a round. And my family eat really simply. My kids usually are just happy with raw vegetables and meat for dinner, and we don't get into anything gourmet. If we do something gourmet, it's on the weekend. It's rare.
It's cool. It's cool to hear that you just keep things simple with cooking with them,
Yeah.
because sometimes I think we overthink things or think food has to be complicated. And I know that there's those awesome culinary people out there who love to cook and spend an hour and use all these, awesome ingredients. And I think if you enjoy it, like, yeah, go for it. But there's a lot of us,
I'm
I'm like you, yeah, where
yeah,
for me it's kind of a downer, and I just don't want that to be a big part of my life. And so yeah, we eat real simply, and it's fine. We eat that way every day. It's fine.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I'm the same. I am not that I don't enjoy cooking, but I'm just not a real foodie. Even though I'm a nutritionist, not. I'm not a foodie. I think they're really different. I'm more about the health benefits as opposed to the culinary chef type aspects of food. I'm just, yeah. So,
Yeah.
and I don't have that much time to do anything gourmet. So, yeah.
I know. I think for me the challenge is like when I spend too much time with food, like by cooking it, that makes me want to eat a lot of food. Like, you know what I mean? And so the more my life's about food, the more I end up eating. So I just like,
Eating.
I need
Yeah,
to keep this as a small part of my
yeah.
life that's quick
Mm.
so that I can move on, like you said, and be busy with other things.
And I've come to that realization as well, Rachel, that I do have some food issues which have stemmed from my childhood, and I'm the same. The more I obsess about food or immerse myself in food, the more I find those little triggers come out. So yeah.
Huh. Yeah,
Mm,
and I think
mm.
it's just nice to just like realize that about yourself. Like you said, ideally it'd be nice if I could maybe fix it and just be able to cook gourmet meals and just still eat sensibly. But for now, like since I can't manage to do that too well, I just have to create an environment for myself where I can stay in control, and that's how I do it.
Exactly. Well, my husband doesn't expect it. My husband's really simple. He just wants to come home and eat meat and vegetables. So that's really easy. I'm really lucky. He doesn't expect any sort of, grossly gourmet meal at the end of the day. So I'm lucky. If I had a different husband, I may not be so lucky. But he's really happy with that.
That's good.
Yeah.
That is definitely a blessing. Now you said you're really good about not cheating. Oh, tell us about a couple things that helped you on phase two. A couple little, you mentioned the apple and the cinnamon. What were a couple of
Yeah.
little things that you would do that kind of made it a little easier or more enjoyable?
Herbal teas. Like I just scour the shops for different herbal teas, and I found a brilliant one that I'm going to use if I do another round. Higher living, organic one, which is green tea and coconut, which is delicious. So herbal teas are my best friend. Cold or hot, it's really hot in Australia at the moment. And when I did my last round, it was quite warm. So that, just drinking lots of water. What else?
You
What
mentioned a
else?
virgin
Doing,
mojito.
which one?
You said a virgin mojito that you make.
My virgin mojito, right. So this is now the drink of choice for my friends. Whenever I go to their house, I've got to make this mojito. But we tend to add tequila with it when we're going out. But no, my virgin mojito. So it's literally I've got a Thermomix. I don't know if Thermomix is in America at the moment
I
or
don't think
coming to this
so.
world.
No.
Yeah, no, it's an awesome blender machine. It does everything. Either way, I crush ice and then I add mineral water, um, so spark bubbly water, and fresh lime juice or lemon juice, but I like lime better, and then stevia. I use the green stuff, but a lot of people just use the one with erythritol in it. And then crush that all up. So it's lime, mineral water, and the stevia, and it just tastes like a mojito without the mojito-ness.
That would like it, like especially like you said at a gathering on phase 2 or something, or if you had people over, that might get you through the evening, you know?
So the family gatherings I'd go to, I would just have that, and that would be fine. Yeah, yeah. So I love that, and I tend to fix that when I'm like in the afternoon. When I've come home from picking the kids up from school and I'm giving them their afternoon tea and then getting ready for making their lunches, I'll tend to make myself one of them. That's my hungry time, is sort of between 4 and 5 or 3:30 to 5. I get really ravenous at that time of the day, and that sort of tend to, yeah, not so much on hCG, but yeah, I still do that now, is fix that drink.
Good, something to get you by, huh? For an hour and a half.
Yeah, yeah,
So tell me,
exactly.
like today, then, like you're in phase 4. Like, what are some typical in a day? What's a typical? What would you eat in a day?
Okay. I usually start. I tend not to have breakfast all the time. I get up and I have a cup of coffee, and then I always do fasted cardio at least 3 or 4 times a week. So I'll get up and I'll do like a 20-minute kettlebell workout, or I'll go for a 50-minute walk and listen to my podcast, and I'll just start my day with a cup of coffee. I only have one a day. Sometimes I'll have cream in it, but mostly it'll just be black. And then before I work out, I will have a protein shake. And then I'll do my weight training, and then I'll have a post-workout shake. And then not long to after that, I'll have lunch. And usually lunch will be chicken breast or tuna or turkey breast or some sort of meat and vegetables. And I'll saute that with some coconut oil or olive oil. But it's really simple. It's nothing fancy. It's just, salad greens, cucumber, capsicum, tomatoes. Sometimes I'll roast some sweet potato and add that to it. But it's really just single foods, I'd say. Single foods, I call it. Nothing gourmet. And then I'll follow that up with a herbal tea. And then mid-afternoon, I'll have some fat-free, 0% yogurt mixed with raw cacao if I feel like something chocolatey. Or I'll have another protein shake, or have some nuts and celery, or nut butter and celery. I love celery, snack on celery. It's something I did on hCG as well, was the celery. And then I'll pick the kids up from school, come back. I'll probably have a cup of tea at that point, or my little mineral water, and then I'll have dinner. And dinner's pretty similar to lunch. And then I like to have diet jello after my dinner and more herbal tea. But look, yeah, it's pretty simple. I'll make my own chocolate if I'm feeling like something chocolatey. What else do I really like to eat? I love eating peanut butter out of a jar. I love goji berries and coconut flakes and raw cacao nibs, and I make a little trail mix sometimes with that.
That sounds good.
Yeah, but it's actually probably quite boring. Now that I'm eating more carbs, I'm introducing, sweet potato and a bit of rice and a bit of oats, which I'm loving.
Cool.
So I've recently started making for breakfast. Well, my breakfast is like at 10 o'clock or so. But little mason jars with oats and yogurt and berries, and leaving that overnight in the fridge to soak so that it's ready to go. Maybe have that before I train or after I train with my post-workout shake. So yeah, I'm not, as I said, I'm not a real foodie. I just keep it really simple, but I'm happy with meat and veg. And yeah, I've recently cut nuts out. I found that I wasn't digesting them that well. So, but I do love nut butters.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't really eat nuts anymore. They don't taste very well.
I miss them. I thought I'd really miss them, but I don't. I tend to eat a lot of raw vegetables as well. My kids love raw veggies, so
Good.
in the afternoon tea, we'll just have loads of raw veggies, and they'll have some dried fruit or something with it, or a cake sometimes. But I don't really. It's not my weak point. Chocolate's my weak point. Yeah.
It's too funny. Cool. Well, thank you for sharing that. It's funny. I always see like on Instagram or other like foodie type blogs, paleo blogs, like there's all these amazing
Yeah.
recipes out there and they're always posting these awesome dishes. And I'm like, man, I wish I could do that. But yeah, I'm just like you. I'm so simple and I just kind of eat the same things every day. And I'm like, yeah, I'm
It's
just
called
gonna do
food
that.
porn. It's called food porn.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
right. Yeah.
Reza.
Yep.
One thing I did make on the weekend, which was absolutely delicious, was I had a whole lot of frozen bananas in the freezer that had gone black over summer. Because it's so hot here, the bananas go black straight away. And so I chopped up all these bananas. They're all frozen in the fridge. And in my Thermomix, which is a really, really high-powered machine, I blended those with raw cacao and coconut cream, and my gosh, that is delicious. And it's like an ice cream.
That
So,
sounds really good.
yeah, very nice.
Well, I've only got just a few more questions for you, kind of a little bit of a recap. So this next one, what is finding HCG done for you? Like, before that, how was it? How have things changed for you, like mentally, having that?
Um, hmm. That's a good question. I think it's a bit. I find that some of my clients too, and me myself, which is why I'm trying to work on phase 3, is I don't want people to rely on hCG as a weight loss tool all the time.
Yeah.
What hCG has taught me is a bit more about clean eating, I think, and the fact that our bodies don't really need that much to survive. And doing the intermittent fasting, you can do really well on just a few hundred calories, not every day, but you know, we tend to overeat as a society, and I think HCG has taught me that. It's about listening to your hunger, recognizing the emotional signals around overeating. And that's what HCG has taught me, I think, more so the emotional side of eating as opposed to how much we do eat. So both of those, really. We eat too much and we eat for all the other reasons apart from hunger. So that's what it's done for me. It's really, really opened my eyes to that on a personal level, but also for people that I treat. Yeah, so, and that guy, he's just the most awesome diet in the world. What other diet can you lose, 7 kilos in 21 days? There's no diet on the planet that can do that. So he's a real master, but yes, there's just so many aspects of the diet. I mean, Robin Woodall's book, I've read that many times as well.
Yes. For
It's
anyone who doesn't know,
just we tend to eat for other reasons. Is it Robin Woodall? Yeah,
yeah, I
Woodall.
wanted
Is
to
that her?
share the title with everyone. It's called Weight Loss Apocalypse by Robin Woodall. Just so you
Yeah.
guys know, you guys can check it out. It's on Amazon, and it's actually directly about the HCG protocol. It's a highly recommended read.
Yeah. So really, those two things is the reasons other than hunger as to why we eat, and the fact that we actually don't need that much food to survive. Survive well, I think. Yeah.
Thank you. That was very well said. I agree. I think that really puts it well in a nutshell. So what do you think, what factors do you feel play a role when people don't succeed on the HCG protocol?
Um, I think I think it's more an emotional thing. I think for most people, the deprivation or the feeling like they're missing out plays a huge role in people giving up. I think particularly, I mean, I've never had that much to lose, and I take my hat off to some of the the people you've interviewed that have lost 50, 60 pounds. I mean, that's just a hard to look in the mirror and think, right, I want to do this, and to have that mindset and determination to do 3, 4 consecutive rounds to get that weight off. I really take my hat off, because I think that's hard. It's having that focus and that mindset for a consistently long period of time. But I think most people just feel like they're never going to get there, and that's really quite sad, because I think if everyone's capable of achieving what they want, it's just having that mindset and that focus to stay on track. So I think that's why people fail. It's feeling like they're never going to get there.
Yeah.
And yeah, but it is a difficult diet. It is it's not much food. There's so many rules. I find it really hard to socialize. You've got to block out your calendar. It does impact your family, impacts your relationship. Well, sometimes for me, my husband's like, "How many more days have you got to go on this?" But so there is a lot of things, but you just got to stay focused. I think people lose their focus because they just don't feel like they're going to get there.
Yeah.
But the good thing about hCG is you do get there because you're seeing results every day. Not like other diets where it's maybe 1 week to 2 weeks you're not seeing any losses at all. You're seeing, for the most part, losses every day, which is highly motivating.
Yeah, and in the grand scheme of things, it really is a pretty short period of time, right? That you have to be focused on, because like you
When
said, you do have to be.
when you're in it, 21 days is still 21 days. When you're in that,
Right.
in the protocol, it still seems like a long time, I think.
Yeah, you're so right. I know it's so easy to say it's short when you're not on the diet, right? So, but it's true when you're actually in it every day, it feels like a long time. But like,
And because you're so focused on it as well, you have to be focused on it
yeah,
and diligent. So mentally, sort of never leaves your head those 21 days,
yeah.
which is why I find projects do take you away from that.
What sort of project? Can you be specific at all? Like, what sort of projects helped you stay busy?
Anything from reorganising my linen cupboard to sorting through my kids' rooms and getting rid of clutter. What else? I'm not really handy in terms of sewing and stuff like that. Reorganising stuff, cleaning out. Those are the sorts of projects I did. It's even some gardening, but I hate gardening.
That's probably really.
But you just have something else to focus on. Reading books that have been sitting by my bedtime table that I haven't read. And then thinking about phase 3, researching for phase 3, because I still have not got phase 3 right, which is, I just haven't nailed that one.
Gotcha.
Haven't nailed that one yet.
Those are good tips. Thanks for sharing all that. Well, thanks for being on here with me today, Donna. For all of you guys, I meant to mention it at the beginning and I forgot. She has a website. If you want to check her out a little more, it's nutritionista.com.au. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
Because she's
and it's NUTRITION, nutrition, and then ISTA at the end.
Nutrition and then ISTA at the end. And then she is on Instagram and Facebook. We're gonna have all of her handles in the show notes on the blog, hcgchica.com. So episode 34. So you'll find that on there. And anyway, it was just nice to talk with you because I've actually had inquiries from people, because like you said, a lot of my interviews are women who've lost like 60 to 100 pounds. And then I started getting emails from people saying, do you have anyone who's lost just like 10 to 15 pounds? Because like I don't have that much weight to lose, and I'd really like to hear about people's experiences that didn't just needed to lose a little weight. And I thought, oh, okay. So that's why I was, on the lookout for that. Because it's a different experience. Like you said, I think it's almost, the protocol is almost harder when you're thinner because it's harder to find the motivation, because it's kind of like you're a little unhappy with your body, but not so unhappy that when it gets really hard, you're like, is this really worth it? you know?
Yeah, absolutely. But it still works even when you've only got a little bit to lose. You're not going to. Your body naturally gets to where it wants to be either way. And as I said, even though I've used the homeopathic and the injections, my body has never really gone down past that 114 pounds, which, that's where my body wants to be. It's just a matter of staying there. I can't stay there.
That is the tough part. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Donna. And I'll be excited to hear about how the
And
fasting
thank
goes.
you, honestly. Let me tell you how great you are, because you have been such an inspiration to me and motivation for me. I should have used one of those things that kept me on track was listening to your podcasts and reading your articles. And every morning I'd go for my walk and listen to a podcast. So I've listened to your podcast 2 or 3 times, but they really keep me on track and they really keep me motivated. So thank you for all the work you do. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you too. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop.